We're almost at the end of the event. I would like to do the closing with 4 panelists and discussing a little bit about building sustainable IT with open source and the next decade of CloudStack. Can I ask everybody to introduce yourself first?
You first, Dave.
I'm going first. My name is David Humes, and I'm the Vice President of Product Development at US Signal.
Brian Turnbow, I'm the CTO in CD-LAN, the host sponsor.
You can keep we're good. Yeah. I'm Simon Weller, I'm the CTO of UDT.
I'm Giles Sarr, I'm CEO of Shape Blue and also PMC member of Apache CloudStack, as is Simon.
Yep.
At the end of this fantastic conference, I hope for everyone, what are your key takeaways from the event?
We're growing. The project's growing. It's diversifying. We've always said that CloudStack is a... Okay.
That's better. Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I've always said that CloudStack is a predominantly user-driven community, and I think just look around, look at all the talks this week. Look right now, right? We've got 3-4 users of Apache CloudStack on the stage, and I think this is just going to continue year on year on year as we get more and more critical mass in the project. So to me, it's about scale.
Simon?
Yeah, look, I think it's great to see so many different folks here, not just tech folks, but also business folks. Because the reality is that building a cloud is not just about throwing up a few servers and a few switches and plugging everything in, hoping for the best. It really takes a lot of strategic leadership to understand how to build something for success and how to know what your market really is and how to penetrate that market.
Yeah, well, I can completely agree with that, and I can add that one thing that I've really enjoyed seeing is a lot of new faces, but with the same atmosphere, with the same questions, with the same sharing of information that we're having. So even the newcomers that are coming in are approaching CloudStack with the correct, if you want to say, mindset and way of going about it, and that's just going to add to the community.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, we're a relatively new CloudStack user. We've had our product out for just over a year, and in Madrid last year, we were brand new to this community. We really hadn't met anybody outside of like Giles and a couple other folks, and we felt really welcome then. And what happened over the course of the year was conversations with individual CloudStack users and really like leveraging the network to progress our sort of mutual interests. And that's been really fantastic. And for the new people, I feel the same level of relationship with them as I do the people that I met last year. And so I think that's really awesome too.
We were discussing these days a lot about vendor independence, reliable infrastructure, migrating from VMware to CloudStack, building sovereign clouds. But actually, when you're doing your IT infrastructure stack, that's something which will last for the next 3, 5, or even more years. When you're taking that decision, it's of course something very, very responsible. So in terms of sustainability, what would you recommend to the people who are making now their choices, what technology to use?
I mean, I think for me, sustainability is, to me, the definition at least, is balancing today and tomorrow and trying to find and bridge that gap. And so I think what the CloudStack community has proven to me over the last years, we've been part of it, is we're able to handle the today and the tomorrow. And I think that sounds obvious, but I think in the maybe enterprise space that we kind of compete with, if you will, I don't know that there's that same level of innovation happening because there's sort of commercial interests at heart. And so I think we have to maintain that level of community to move forward.
Is your point there that there's more innovation in the service provider space?
Well, yeah, but I think there's more innovation within this project as well.
Yeah.
I mean, take vGPU. This was something that we started to talk about at the conference last year, and we're right now at a production-ready version. I don't know that the commercial people would have been able to do it that quickly, right?
Agree. And that comes through the collaboration. That comes from a project that's driven by its users, right? And not by a number of big vendors who have got a very specific roadmap vision of what something should be, which isn't necessarily what the users want, right?
Yeah, I think I'd add to that too and say that what we're seeing right now in the managed services world is that if you're dealing with some big vendors, let's take Cisco as an example, their entire goal right now was to figure out how to containerize a managed service and try and sell it to you so they can get more margin contribution on their product, right? And so once product folks start to understand that, they start to think, well, how do we innovate ourselves, and how do we take control back? And that's the beauty, I think, of being part of a community like this. I think the other thing I'll say as well, and this is a little bit more nuanced, Yvette, but I think what is also extremely important is that we need to make sure that as leaders that we are really not just selling open source projects or Apache CloudStack to our people. We need them to embrace it, and they need to understand how they can be part of that solution. Because what you don't want to happen is, force this idea down someone's throat, and then in 4 years you have a bit of a changeover, and they say, we're just going to throw that out and go back to something else, right? So to talk about the sustainability standpoint, it's about being a bit of an evangelist internally and help people realize that they can be part of a really vibrant product offering that is actually really changing. Maybe changing the world's going a bit far, but it's making a big difference in the communities that you're serving.
If I can just add to that, I think another thing that's very important, looking into the sustainability. Okay, we're open source. That's obviously a key. But the other part of it is also the openness of the platform with the APIs, what you can integrate into it, and how you can do it, and the standards being used. Yeah. When you're using a platform that's a standard-based platform, and there's nothing that's that proprietary technology that you can only get from Cisco, for example. They're one of the best at doing that kind of thing. You have the ability to really innovate and move forward, and you have that sustainability because in the future you're not going to be stranded because of one single piece that's proprietary that only they can offer.
Yeah, I mean, I always describe CloudStack as, in fact, most Apache projects as organic projects, and that's what gives them these really strong roots. And that's about the governance model that the ASF gives us. But that gives us sustainability, but people do need to remember, even if it's organic, it still needs plant food, right? And we are the plant food. The community is the plant food. And there's a potential risk there to the project in terms of we have to see that user turning into contributor cycle. That has to be there. And I know everybody here is contributing just by being here, and I know lots of you are very busy in the dev community and what have you, but that's something we need to look out for as a project. If we want this wonderful thing, we as a community have to care for it as well.
And talking for sustainability, enterprises are pretty sustainable in their decisions. So once they take a decision, I think they can last for the next decade, no matter whether that's the right decision or not, just because it's so hard and heavy to move forward. I think most of the people here are either service providers or MSPs. If we need to encourage enterprises also to move to open source and to go in the right path, according to all of us, what would you recommend to them?
A few more acquisitions. Sorry, somebody give a serious answer.
Look, I mean, that's a challenging one, just to be honest, right? Because as we all know, having done this a few times over, you need talent on your teams to be able to maintain products and services like this. And a lot of enterprises don't have that luxury, and it can be sometimes an internal threat to a team when you say, well, we're taking away what they've done for the last 10 years, such as VMware, right, and replacing it with some other product or service like Apache CloudStack plus other ancillary things around them. So, I would say that you organically get some people that come in and they start asking questions, and then they start to say, well, I see the vision here. And you'll get some other people that might be more at the management level that will start bringing things in. And this is why I said before that you have to be an evangelist, really, to help people get over their concerns and their risks and realize that this is a growth path for them as well, from a maturity perspective in their own careers. I mean, they're going to add a lot of skills to what they already have, in their pocketbook, and they can be able to hopefully grow their own careers. And so we have to really help people through that, because nothing is sustainable unless you have people that really believe in that vision. And
I think, traditionally the expression "nobody got fired for buying whatever the major vendor is of that era." Yeah. I think that's reversed. People are going to get fired for sticking with particular strategy. What we've seen with the big seismic event we saw 2 years ago is that people have to have a plan B. They have to be thinking these risks at the leadership level. And I think that is going to, with time, even more senior leaders are going to see that, and that's going to go right up to executive level. What are we doing about vendor risk? And that, that's on agendas now, right?
It's the pain threshold, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we talk internally at US Signal about the question why, the 5 whys, right? You drill in, you drill in, you drill in, and I think in enterprises specifically, it's easy to get stuck in ways. I think it's easy to get in with a vendor and build your business processes around the vendor, but you forget why you actually did that thing in the first place. And so as you're going to look at an open source platform, I think you have to ask why you're doing something and validate that either A, you even need to do it, or B, maybe you could do it differently. And I think, because I think what's tempting, and we see this in our customer sales processes, is the competitor we lose to the most is doing nothing, because doing nothing is the easiest path. And so how do you sort of tear down those barriers?
In addition, actually, to the standard organic growth of the interest towards CloudStack, we see 2 main trends, the VMware migration and also the cloud repatriation. Which one, according to you, is stronger and which would be empowered more in the next year?
Well, definitely for us in the next year, I think the VMware exit is going to be the largest thing, just because it's such a significant part of our business. But in the customers that we've gained in 2025, a solid handful of them have been repatriation from public clouds. But our strategy, which I think is a pragmatic one, has not been to call the hyperscalers bad names, because we're actually friends of them. But I think it's just, again, stepping back and being smart and thinking about what it is you're trying to accomplish and figuring out, is there an opportunity to run that on CloudStack? So it's maybe both. I think the repatriation thing, it's a cycle. I think it will always continue. Whereas I think the VMware push is going to be somewhat definite in its end, just because of how contracts work out.
I think there could be some opportunity there for customers that want to protect themselves from single vendor outages. We've seen a lot going on in the last 3 weeks, right? We've seen AWS, Azure, and Cloudflare all have major problems. And there's a couple of options there, right? If you want to try and diversify, you could go into 2 hyperscalers, or you could go into a private cloud plus a hyperscaler. So I think there is going to be more of the hybrid environments, but what that also opens the door to is people considering 100% private cloud once they get comfortable with that idea.
And I think the public cloud market is going to change. I mean, we say the hyperscalers, we're talking about 3 and the 4th in China. We're talking about 4 companies globally. I think what we're going to see is those particular organizations, their market share starting to decline, and then the emerging people who are doing something slightly different now, whether that's for sovereignty issues because of geopolitical issues, or whether that's to deliver specific pieces of, niche service into particular verticals. I think public cloud hyperscalers will be more than just 3 or 4 organizations in a few years' time.
Yeah, and I think the regulatory authorities might help influence quite a bit of that in certain regions.
Yeah, that's I didn't wear the NIST2 shirt just for this, but it's actually very prevalent. I mean, it's forcing customers to take a look at what they're doing, to evaluate what suppliers they're using, how they're using it, and we've had several conversations with customers about the lock-in. Some of the biggest projects we've done in the last year have been private clouds that they're worried about the control. They want to have their data in a certain place because things are happening in the world that are putting that at risk. VMware Broadcom has certain policies that are going against the very nature of the businesses and their business models, and the people are looking at the cloud in a new way now. It's kind of like those hype cycles. Now everybody's worried about AI; they're not worried about the cloud anymore. And then there was blockchain, and whatever. Tomorrow something else is going to come out. The agentic AI that everybody wants now, whatever. And I think the cloud, the hype of I have to be in cloud because the CEO comes and says, "Oh, my friends are in cloud. We have to be in cloud." That's not a thing anymore. And people are starting to take a look at what are my costs? What are the services I'm using? What are the advantages I'm using? Is there a better way to do this? And that's where CloudStack is coming in for us.
Vendors are usually planning their roadmaps very long term, and with open source, it's not the case. So where do you see CloudStack in the next decade if you can build that roadmap?
Evolution, not revolution. I think, one of the big debates we always have in CloudStack is about how tight we should keep the scope. I've had a lot of conversations in the last 2 days about people saying, why haven't we got DB as a service? Why can't we do this? Why can't we? And my belief is that CloudStack should hold its ground as keeping its scope quite tight and make itself ever more reliable and support a wider range of things at that layer. Exactly what all those are going to be, Yvette, it's hard to say at this stage, but I see CloudStack keeping up with what is going on at the infrastructure level, becoming ever more reliable, ever more dependent, and just being boring, being the plumbing. That's what I love about CloudStack. It just works, right?
Yeah, well, CloudStack's an orchestrator, right? And I think, without getting too deep in the weeds here, over time, we've certainly made some decisions as a group that maybe we wouldn't say we regret, but maybe we did get too deep with certain things, and we should be focused, as you said, on the plumbing, really, and have those northbound interfaces available so that we can more easily integrate with other services. Yeah. But once you start doing things, like lots of networking and virtual routers and things like that, the waters can get muddied very quickly, and you start playing in domains that sometimes are better managed by other systems that are more specialized in that particular area. Because then you have all that creep and you then have to maintain it, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. As I see it, as an infrastructure provider, one of the things that we're seeing, more and more, when we kind of hit on it earlier, is the people, the skill sets that they have. And so what I see that is going to be a driving force in CloudStack is going to be making it easier for the end users, because we're going to a place where when I came into the world, I've got the gray hair, and some of the other people here too. We had to learn how that stuff worked, I mean, we really need the nitty-gritty, the protocols and whatever. I see in the younger generations, except for a few, I've got a couple that work for us, but most of them just want to know how to configure it, make it work, and so making the simplicity for the end user, I think, is going to be one of the key drivers and the key things. It's already a platform that's not difficult to use, but I think that in 10 years' time, it's going to be my mother can use CloudStack.
I'm going to be a little aspirational since you said 10 years. I mean, I think two things happened in the last couple of years that I think represent really important inflection points for the cloud industry. Obviously, the VMware shakeup changed a lot of things, but I think AI is poised to do that as well. And I think in the long run, I think there's a significant opportunity for CloudStack to be the platform in the long run. And Giles, to your point, it doesn't mean that it has to drift from the core. I think there's bolt-on services and things that providers like US Signal and other will do. But we're really excited by that future possibility. And I think it's there, right?
So technology-wise, seems we are pretty ready for the next decade. We just need to spread the messaging and make more companies aware. And at the end, your messaging to the CloudStack community and your users with one sentence only?
Keep sharing, keep collaborating.
Yeah, I mean, we're only as strong as our community in the end, and even the smallest contribution matters. I think quite often, well, we get to vote on lots of people as committers and PMC members over the years, and what we're really looking for is people that just want to contribute. And it's not just about code. I want to be really clear about that. I'm not a great coder. There is some stuff still in CloudStack that I'm probably not proud of, just to be honest. But I feel that my contribution is really helping people on the mailing list and coming to events like this and trying to help people think about architecture and design, right? So and we need more people on marketing, for example, right? We need people to help promote the overall project's health. So don't be shy, right? We're looking for every possible contribution, no matter how small it is.
I'm going to make you go last because that's the hardest one in this question. My perspective, so I'm technical, but my role is primarily in product. So I'm a business user, like you said, and I think the community does a great job of doing communication around the technical side of CloudStack. I would like to see more collaboration from the business user and business case standpoint. I've had a lot of opportunity to talk to different folks this week on how they're going to market and how they're pricing and things like that. It's all relevant, and it all builds to success, which at the end of the day, I think that's what we're all here for.
Yeah, that's I had a slide that, why did we do this? And the end answer is to make money. We're businesses, and we use CloudStack as a means to make money, and that's going to remain. That's the way the world works. And so I can agree that the business drivers in CloudStack are something that. A lot of people don't know, when I talk to some of the customers, they'll all say, oh yeah, it's based on CloudStack, and they'll go, what's that? No, it's part of the Apache Foundation, and they go, oh, so they don't maybe necessarily know of CloudStack, but the Apache Foundation is known, and so we have to do a better job of getting sure that the people, know that it's part of that foundation, and that builds a trust, as we talked about before, and that's one of the things that the message that we have to get out there, and the customers, when they use it, they'll understand the reliability of the platform. I said, I joked about the ease of use. It's not, difficult. It's true. We have a lot of customers that are coming like from the VMware world into CloudStack. You have to kind of explain, the mechanisms, how it works. It's a little different, and whatnot. But once you've got it, it's not that hard, and being able to build that trust in the business, those are the people that make the choices in the companies.
Just to add to that, bro. I mean, I did a talk at one of these conferences, I think nearly a decade ago, and I think my talk was CloudStack, the invisible man of cloud, right? Because all these people were using it, but nobody had really ever heard. Oh no, CloudStack never heard of it. That was the title of my talk.
Yeah.
And that was about, there's a load of people collaborating on this open source project. Everybody's using it, but not enough organizations were out sharing at the business level that we rely on this thing, okay? And there's been a lot of amazing stories this week from US Signal, from CD, from lots of different organizations. That's starting to change, but still it remains one of the biggest challenges the project's got. Because it's an Apache project, Apache doesn't really do marketing, right? It doesn't really shout about the project. So, if there was one thing I would ask for us as a community is asking the people in our business to make sure the world knows they use Apache CloudStack and how great this thing is, and invite them along to next year's conference.
So in a summary, keep sharing, keep collaborating, and keep innovating.
And quack, quack.
Round of applause for our panelists. I'm going to take just 2 minutes more to do the event closing. Firstly, again, as I said in the beginning, these events happen with the collaboration and open mind and support of our event partners from, again, Shabu, US Signal, Limbit, Storpool, CISO Cloud, DMC, CD1, our local partner, Ampere, your online stack console, Yota, Proyo, and TUI Systems. And I'm so happy that every year I'm almost without breath when saying all these sponsors, which means that we are getting bigger and bigger support each year. When I was doing the talk yesterday, I said that all these events are about collaboration, sharing, and being open-minded. How many of the people here are actually feeling that you have achieved these 3 goals? That's a very good sign. Okay, now on the hot topic of the day, where will be the next event? So we are thinking a lot where to make the next event, not because just of the logistics, but about the problems we want to solve. Vido was referring in his slides that one of the problems is that our community, unfortunately me also, we're all getting old, so we need to have some new fresh faces and new fresh people in the community. So with the next event, we're hoping we will solve partially that problem. Any guesses? Last chance for guesses where it's gonna be? It's very hard to pronounce and it's in Europe, as a hint. Next CloudStack Collaboration Conference is gonna be in Edinburgh in November, and we invite all of you to join. Registration will open in about 1-2 months. Thank you all for being here and for helping us making the event together.
Yvette, I promised I wasn't going to do a talk this year, but Yvette said thank you to the sponsors. She said thank you to all the speakers, all the loads and loads and loads of people, and has been vilified for sending thousands of emails to everybody in this room. But there's one person we haven't thanked, and that's Yvette. Thank you so much, Yvette.
For me, it's a pleasure. Thank you, everybody, also.